Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining us after a brief hiatus is Col Ajay Raina, and we're going to be talking about the oaths that get taken. By the way, what we saw in the parliament is nothing new for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. So we're going to start there. What kind of outrageous statements were given and how the Hindu assembly members responded. Very, very interesting stories. And please first like this video, and if you're not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. Now let's welcome Col Raina. Col Raina Saab, Namaskar, welcome back. How are you?
Namaskar Shiriji, it's nice to be back. I'm good, and Namaskar everybody.
So Colonel Saab, I want to take you back to this one gentleman who has gotten elected now from Barahamula. You know what I'm talking about. And this Rashid engineer guy. Yeah. He used to be a member of the J&K assembly some time ago. And I want you to start, take us back to that point. Maybe you can even go back to 1950 if you want, because everything goes back to why Sheikh Abdullah was jailed. Right? Itna bada dhoka hua. And then there's a gentleman called Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. He goes there, he says, Ek Vidhan, Ek Pradhan, Ek Nishan. This was his nara, right? So why was this Ek Pradhan important? Because Sheikh Abdullah had called himself Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Right? Yeah. So take us back from there and then talk to us a little bit about all the shenanigans that took place in J&K Assembly, how the Hindu legislators responded, and now maybe that is the template for people to respond in the parliament too. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah, we need to go back to 1945, in fact 31, but that'll be too long. So Sheikh Abdullah's antics started, and it all started because of Nehru Saab's love for Sheikh Abdullah. He loved him like, I don't know. People say they they are unsubstantiated claim which say that they share the DNA. I have no proof, so I'll not say that. But people say that. Kuch to log kahenge. So side landing of Maharaja Hari Singh, ordering Indian Army to stop at Turi and not go beyond. In fact, ordering Indian Army to, instead of going across towards Muzaffarabad and liberating the territory, which was vacant that time, these so-called raiders had run away in the face of Indian Army. That was 14th of November 1947. Indian Army troops were ordered to turn left, go south into Poonch to rescue and relieve Poonch. Poonch was cordoned, other side of Peer Panjal, but it was not under imminent danger. There was enough force there. J&K forces had enough troops there, and locals were also fighting shoulder to shoulder with the army, so they could have held on for maybe a week, 10 days. And all that Indian Army needed was maybe 12 hours to liberate the whole chunk till Muzaffarabad. So passing such orders and then sidelining Maharaja Hari Singh, painting him in black, making sure that he's thrown out of the state and he never comes back. All these things kept on happening as per whims and fancies of Sheikh Abdullah, and only because Nehruji was in love with him. Then one day, Nehruji realized that no, this guy is too much, because when Indian Army was fighting Pakistanis in Valley in the month of February 48, this guy sitting inside Nehru Saab's house in Delhi gave an interview to German correspondent saying that it's okay, but we want independence. हमें आजादी चाहिए. Nehru Saab के घर के अंदर बैठ के. So that was the first jhatka. Then of course, what you spoke about Shyama Prasad Mukherjee ji, our state owes him a lot. He gave his life for, he was killed in the prison as per many accounts. Official version says he had a cardiac arrest or something, but knowing Sheikh Abdullah and the way he worked, the way he hated people and sorted them out, very much possible. When he's picked up from Lakhanpur and put into prison, and like you said, all he was asking for, one constitution, one flag, everything. But Sheikh Abdullah was prime minister. Governor of the state was called Sadr Riyasat. So this is sub-nationalism. And this sub-nationalism started in 1925, and 1931 was that landmark point when firing happened in Srinagar, and they started celebrating Martyrs' Day. And state government, after independence, had been observing Martyrs' Day as a holiday, public holiday in Jammu and Kashmir till 2019. 2020, in fact, because 2019 August, that holiday had been taken, but next year, 2020, abolished. So this sub-nationalism was something which was in our face. It was right there. Like you said, assembly mein things were happening. They were happening inside the assembly. They were happening outside assembly. We decided to close our eyes. Same Sheikh Abdullah, who was exiled, he went out of the mind, out of sight, out of mind. That's a politics. Politics is all about being in view of people. So once you're out of the state, sent to Kodaikanal, given a quite a luxurious kind of imprisonment or detention. So Indira Gandhi ji brought her back in 75. His party, National Conference, had no seats in J&K Assembly. He was made chief minister. Congress supported chief ministership from outside. 2 years later, he got elected, came back, and among the first few orders which he gave, one was change of about 900 villages, the names of 900 villages. So Rampura became Rahimpura and whatever. So that's all history. So coming to this incident, this Gilani Saab, Hurriyat Wala, he was also once upon a time our MLA. So we had a very firebrand ex-Congress MLA, Professor Bhim Singh, who later on founded his own party called Panthers Party. He's no more. I mean, a couple of years back, he passed away. So once inside assembly, this guy got up, Gilani, and said, "I'm a Pakistani. Mera yahan dam ghutta. I feel suffocated here because I'm a Pakistani." So Professor Bhim Singh picked up a chair and threw on his head. So this is how he reacted. So Professor Bhim Singh was something. He was an extraordinary person. He had friends with Yasser Arafat. He was friends with Saddam Hussein. You know, in 60s, he traveled the whole globe on his bike. He was a different kind of a person. But then in as late as 2015, you have this guy, Engineer Rashid, who's in jail today. And look at the mockery of the system. He's in jail, not convicted. So not convicted. So he is allowed to contest the election. So he wins. So Engineer Rashid hosted a beef party inside the assembly complex. So our state president of Bharatiya Janata Party, Mr. Ravindra Rana, he's from our constituency. He bashed him up. Now, yesterday, like you mentioned about Owaisi taking oath and doing those funny things and saying Jai Palestine and all, and there was no reaction. Of course, we don't advocate violence, but one thing we need to understand that people in Jammu and Kashmir have seen it firsthand. Why our MLAs were reacting that way? Why Professor Bhim Singh was throwing chair on his head, or why Mr. Rana bashed him up? Because we've seen what it leads to. That if you don't react, if you don't act, and give too much of loose rope, because our state has seen good, bad, ugly of all shades of this subnationalism. People in Delhi lead a very protected life. People in Delhi means people coming from different parts of the country. They're away from the reality, to be honest. Many times you hear you come across a very funny kind of a judgment from our judges, because they also live in a shell. So when you tell somebody that there's a provision in UAPA where even keeping literature in your house, anti-India literature in your house, amounts to you being labeled as a terrorist and treated accordingly, and my lord said, no, you drop this. This is a bill passed in this is law made by Parliament of India, and Supreme Court and other courts objected to that clause, because these people know they are protected during service, after service. They don't want to really worry. But you ask us, people who live, normal people who live in conflict zones. I call Jammu and Kashmir as a conflict zone as far as security is concerned. Anything can happen anytime. You step out of the house, anything can happen anytime. It's been happening for so long, and it is reviving again. You've seen what's happening in 𝗤𝙑, Poonch, Rajouri, and today 3 terrorists have been killed in Gando, in Doda area, which was very kind of peaceful for many years. So we understand this implication of such statements, such gestures, which people hailing from different backgrounds, different metros, different places probably don't. But I am hopeful, Sheriji. A lot of noise has been created on the social media. People are telling government to act. See, it's okay to have sabka saath, sabka vikas. We all for it. It's okay. But then a red line cannot be allowed to be crossed. You cannot be appeasing people to an extent that somebody comes in Parliament of India and he says, Jai Palestine. No, he's an advocate himself. He'll get out of it. Not today. People are quoting that Constitutional 102D clause and all, which says he can be disqualified. In that, if you draw a parallel, even Rahul Gandhi should have been disqualified by now because of holding a parallel citizenship. But the advocate who took up that case in Allahabad High Court, he was penalized. So this will keep happening. What we need to do, or what we expect government to do now is, with Mr. Om Birla in chair today, and a lot of complaints have already been filed against Owaisi, he should be disqualified. Let him go to court and fight and come back. It's okay. That you can't control. We cannot advocate that somebody should break a chair on his head. Firstly, our Lok Sabha doesn't have those kind of sitting system. Maybe a mic here and there, but we don't advocate all that. We've seen that happening in other assemblies in the country. But problem with all these things, Shiriji, is that there's no shortage or dearth of laws. We have laws to count, like this 102D or whatever constitution clause, which says that such a guy should be disqualified. If he's a member already, he is disqualified. If he's done it before elections, he should not be allowed to fight an election. But do we exercise those things the way they're supposed to be exercised? That's the thing. There's no shortage of law. We are not banana republic when it comes to having written laws, and we have law for everything. But then when it comes to execution or implementing that kind of thing, carrying out that law the way it should be carried out, the execution part, somehow we get that weak knees, or then we get into that realm of being very kind and courteous and open-hearted. But the problem with this is that while you may be open-hearted, you may be kind, and you give a lot of space to such people sitting in Delhi, people like us on ground in places like Jammu and Kashmir, we get affected. So that's how I look at it. And I think government should also understand this, that don't look at an incident happening in a secured environment of a parliament and say, okay, it's okay, one off. And Shirji, another thing I'd like to say, this oath taking, this is supposed to be done as per a format. There's a clear-cut stanza written. You are just supposed to read it out. And speaker is supposed to point out to people who speak an extra word here and there. I'll take your mind back to Mamata Banerjee. When she took oath as the chief minister first time, she said, by Ishwar and Allah. No, Allah, with due regards to Allah, we don't have that kind of provision in our format, which is our official format. So it was allowed because governor that time allowed it. Then came Mr. Dhankar, next term as a governor. And he started pointing people who are doing all these kind of dramatics. He said, no, take it again, come again. Because once you've done your oath and you signed the register, then only you become a member. If you're stopped in between for anything like this, you can't be a member. You might have won an election. Engineer Rashid also won an election. Amritpal Singh also won the election. But unless they come, take the oath and sign in the register, they are not members, technically. So Mamata Didi understood. So she came and spoke only that thing which was written on the paper. So that will, what I'm trying to say is the will needs to be exerted everywhere. Whosoever has got authority to exert the will of the nation must be exercised. And the pro tem speaker, an ex-RSS guy, RSS is defamed everywhere, being, for different reasons. And he couldn't. This was a bit of shocking for many of us. You have all the right to tell a member to stop it, do it. And then you see what it led to. Then you had people coming and raising slogans, both sides, BJP also and opposition also. And like somebody really commented on Twitter today in my post that it was a fish market. Naturally, when you have firstly, I don't understand why everybody should come one by one. We in army, when you pass.
I was going to say that, just I or my, and then just get everybody in one shot. That's it.
Yes, 475 of us passing out of Indian Military Academy. So many of us have already laid their lives and gone ahead, moved ahead. We never had this drama. Our adjutant stood on the podium and he said, he spoke and we repeated, and that's the end of it. You can go out and keep signing on the register. You can keep 10 registers, so what? So I think there's a time to look into all these things. We should not give space. We should, if such a ceremony leads to such a chaos, then this ceremony itself needs to be revisited, the format. And if there's a format of saying things during oath taking ceremony, like ministers do in president's palace, president's house, that has to be implemented in letter and spirit. You just can't let people run away with what they want to say. And Shiriji, somebody, again, another post today, which was actually, it made me think, and this is staring in our face. Today it is Jai Palestine. This guy's got 1 seat. Tomorrow you have this guy having 10 seats. He'll come to Jai Pakistan. And you have, if he and his ilk has 50 or 100 seats, you will have 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙀. Now, when somebody wrote this post, whatever we may show that we are secular, we don't know. But this is reality. Sooner we wake up to this reality and possibility, I think better it is. And responsibility of waking up and taking notice of people we have chosen to govern us. So my appeal through your prestigious platform to, if they are listening or those who are listening, is please don't show this kind of weakness. Show spine, like our MLAs in Jammu and Kashmir have shown. Despite threat to their life, despite things against them, they had the guts to get up in a minority state, Hindu minority state. And it's not a Hindu-Muslim thing. It was an India and anti-India thing. So they got up and they did what they felt was right. Template might be different, may not be advocated by us, but then spine needs to be shown. That's all I would like to comment on that.
Thank you so much, Colonel Raina. We have a few questions for you, sir, and hopefully you can take them. And before we go there, I wanted to give you an update. What Colonel Raina is saying is absolutely right. I did 2 posts today in the morning, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. 6 was about dual citizenship of Rahul Gandhi, which is not permitted under Indian Constitution, because this guy is carrying around a red book with Indian Constitution written on top. I have not looked inside. I'd like him to show it to our press, what exactly is inside that book. And about this one illegally constructed masjid, when they try to demolish it, now they are forming human chains around it. This case was fought in the courts for 10 years, and still they have not allowed the thing to be raised down. It's a public park for everybody's use. See, what you're saying is absolutely right. You have to show spine. So what if women are going around it? They have find women constables to go and evict them, and then raise the thing to the ground. Colonel Ji, lots of temples have been raised down to the ground. In fact, one heartbreaking temple near Chennai. I'll just take 1 minute, sir, and then we'll go to questions, because people need to understand how bad how anti-Hindu DMK is. See, in South, right, the devotee cannot go and touch the Devta, the Murti. There is a priest who will actually do the puja on your behalf. They'll ask you, what is your name, what is your father's name, Gotra, Nakshatra, and then they do the person. So essentially, you can't do it. So on behalf of you, the pujari does it, right? So there was one temple in near the suburbs of Chennai where it allowed you to do anything you wanted. Every Bhagwan was there, every Murti was there. If you wanted to do Abhishek, Jal Abhishek to Shivji, you could do it. This was essentially done to make it more inclusive. Everybody came there. So, so this temple used to serve free lunch meals, and they were supposed to be very good. So there is a crew that has come to demolish this temple. The crew operators, the JCX equipment, the one that goes and does all these things, right? Those operators also have lunch. And minutes later, they go and raise down that complete temple. The reason given was that it was constructed in an illegal area, illegally constructed. Right beside that, there was a church that was not touched. And the Janata of Tamil Nadu is so dumb. You guys can tell me whatever you want in comments. I just don't care. If you're going to sell your vote for one bottle of whiskey, most of the time it has got methyl alcohol also, and one packet of biryani and a few thousand rupees, then this is what you're going to get. So the showing of will is absolutely essential. This is where the spine needs to show up. And thanks for showing us how the Jammu and Kashmir Hindu Assembly legislators showed the way for us. So let's take some questions now, Colonel Raina.
Sure.
Venkat Ranga wants to know, terrorism seems to have raised its hands in places that had hitherto not seen it. Could it have been prevented? What is the plan of action now to curtail it locally and eventually raid it?
Okay, Mr. Ranga, this is what I was trying to say. Today, like 3 terrorists were killed in Doda, in one corner of Jammu and Kashmir state, part of Jammu province. So on ground, people are working. Forces are doing their work. Now, 3 terrorists getting killed for half an hour. It was viral on the Twitter, then it dies a death. But what Owaisi did yesterday is still ringing bells. So we must understand that terrorism is not only about guns. Terrorism is subversion of mind, making a statement in your face and kind of daring you. Maybe Mr. Owaisi has a kind of legal background, so he knows how to get out of it. He'll get out of it even if he's prosecuted. But the thing is, so government must understand your point about terrorism. Terrorism is raising heads because you're allowing people to say things and get away. You're allowing people to distribute literature and get away. You're allowing people to uh, uh, say Sanatan Dharma is a dengue, and you allow it. Now, what is the responsibility of government? Government doesn't have to do anything extraordinary. All that you need to do is to do what you're supposed to do, and what you're supposed to do is written in the constitution. Like Mr. Sree is saying now, Sree is saying, you had a court order to demolish a mosque, and after 10 odd years of legal battle, so there's no doubt that the demolition is legal, legit. And then you have few ladies standing in front, so you go down. You have CRPF battalions, you have ITBP girls battalions. They can sort out anybody. But to tell them, to allow them to sort out, you have to tell them, you have to deploy them. So at multiple levels in Delhi, terrorism has a different implication. Visibility is too much. You make a nasty statement, get away. You are allowed to get away. Somebody sitting in a corner of Jammu and Kashmir, somebody sitting in some corner in next corridor gets emboldened, and then you see this head being raised. So, and government knows everything. If you and me can understand basics of this, it all boils down to willpower and spine. We have all the legal arrangements, we have all the legal cover, we have all the laws covering us. Do it. If you don't do it, then be ready to welcome these guys, what you're calling as terrorist raising heads. You'll see them all over.
Next one, please. Shankar VK wants to know, Ajay sir, would the Pandits ever get resettled back in Kashmir?
Difficult, as on date, difficult, to be honest. There are two reasons. First is there's lack of consensus among Pandits how they want to go back. Somebody wants a township, secure township inside Kashmir Valley. Then the other party says, if I am not able to go and touch the walnut tree under which I grew up as a kid, what is the point going back to Kashmir? So there's even government is not very sure, but what do they want? And this difference opinion is also justified. There are reasons. Security is being paramount. Second is, with every passing day, Shiriji, this process of resettlement is going to be difficult, because there was a time when two neighbors, one Hindu, one Muslim, one Pandit and one Muslim, whatever you may say, there came a time when Muslims turned on the Hindus themselves. But for many years before that, they have studied together, they were friends, they knew each other. Then came a wave of ISI, Pakistan-sponsored or motivated jihadi wave, which saw same friends killing each other or killing Hindus. No Hindu killed Muslim ever in Kashmir. Now that connect is gone. Every passing day, that generation is fading away. Today, you in Kashmir, you have youngsters who have never lived with Kashmiri Pundits. Similarly, you have Kashmiri Pundits spread all over India and abroad who have never seen that kind of life in Kashmir, where they had a neighborhood of a Muslim majority. So every passing day, as these oldies fade away into, they move on to the next lives, getting this reconnection done will be very, very difficult. I think we are losing out on time. But then you can't really put them into a situation where they get killed, get targeted. That is, again, government has to make sure. So it's a very difficult question to answer, to tell you when. If you ask me, do I want or I hope? Yes, I do and hope they go back, because everybody, apna ghar apna hota hai, your home, is nothing can replace that. But how and when, very difficult to answer.
Next one, please. Sri Sundaram wants to know, sir, our secular democracy is giving too much leeway to anti-nationals. Our last mile implementation is the poorest cause. There is no will. What is the core reason for this?
This secular thing, we picked up this fantastic word, and Indira Gandhi inserted in constitution. Secularism is for the state. Secularism is not for you and me. Individuals can't be secular. We are religious people. We are religious-minded people. We worship our gods. We look after our faith. In India, what has happened is, if you are a Hindu and you're taking pride, like Shirji is wearing that tilak, so people start passing comments on you. If you defend anything which related to Hindutva or Hindu, they will again pass your own Hindu brothers, because they try to become sure that they're liberal, they're grown past all this. So one thing we must understand is secularism for the state, which should do justice to everybody at the same kind of a viewpoint should be taken about all the religions and faiths. For you and me, we are Hindus, we are Muslims, we are Sikhs, so we have all the right to practice our religion. Now in India, the secular democracy, what you mentioned, Sundaramji, is that as long as somebody is passing lewd comments about Hinduism, making movies mocking our gods, and doing things like that, it's all right. Then we are supposed to be tolerating all that nonsense. And if we tolerate that, we are secular. If we raise our voices, then we are not secular. We are the right winger, or we are ultra nationalist, or whatever. On the other hand, if Nupur Sharma says something while defending an argument, while debating and quoting something, then people get after her. So this is, and then the state also kind of, though she was protected by state, we all know, but the optics was not very good. No, she getting expelled from the. So this kind of approach, all governments, irrespective of their alignment or identification, has been followed. So when this happens, who gets emboldened? So like you said, anti-nationals, people who are watching, the people who are thinking kya kare, what to do next, and then if they find such things happening, that majority of the country is being sidelined, being kicked around, not being given the due, and others being encouraged and tolerated both by government and the system, then what happens is the secular democracy then takes us on a path which we should not be taking. And this is the reason, and like will, you already mentioned, there's no will, there's no spine, but there's every provision. Despite being a secular democracy, so-called secular word in our preamble, we have all the provisions. We need to implement those provisions, and equally, in equal measures, irrespective of who's the offender. That's what secularism means. If I hurt sentiments of somebody, I should be taken to task. If somebody hurts my sentiments, he should also be taken to task. There cannot be a benefit of doubt that he is from this religion, so leave him. He is from majority religion, so hang him. That should not be done. And this is the reason. So you're confused. Our people on top are confused. They don't know. It's like a batsman, taking step forward, then going back, and then getting caught in the slips. So this is what is happening.
𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙪 Stand wants to know, so is it Modi ji and BJP's fault for not advocating that law? Congress would decimate us if they got in power.
This fear is real, Shree. Seen the kind of things happening last 5 years, especially after 2019, the way Congress conducted itself, or opposition as on a whole conducted itself during elections and thereafter. This fear of decimation is very much real. And Modi ji and BJP's fault, see, I always say that what Shree ji and what I will know will probably be 10% of the actual story. Government always has all the inputs which we will never get access. But then in a democracy like this, we also need good optics. Even if government has reasons to do certain things in a certain way, then if somebody in the social media gets up and says this is a master stroke, that doesn't help. That works only once. Government has to show that it is doing the right thing. Government doesn't have to give an explanation. Like today, again, the news is floating around about deputy NSA, so and so getting appointed, likely to get appointed. So if it happens, the signal to the country is that we don't care. We have a way of working which is not different than how Congress used to work, or anybody else who came to power and worked in India. But I'm sure if this happens, that guy gets appointed, there must be solid reason behind that. That solid reason should somehow reach public. It doesn't have to come from Mr. Modi's mouth. Their platforms, their things. But what happens is, for every second stupid decision, your bots get up and say, master stroke, master stroke. So people start hating, even if it is a master stroke, people say, go to hell. So I'll not say Modi ji's fault or not, but the way it is being projected, the optics is not good. I think that is something which intent-wise we don't doubt him. He's doing. Nobody can call him anti-national or anything. No, that label cannot be given to him, put on him. But optics coming out of Delhi are not good. Let's be honest about it.
Why don't we have any law to try persons like Owaisi?
Rainaji, we have it. We have it. Article 102D in our constitution. I'm hoping Mr. Om Birla will act. because people have filed official complaints. Let's see if they don't.
Dinesh Kumarji says, thank you, Dinesh Kumarji. I don't hate anyone, okay? I don't like the fact that people are willing to, sell their religion for a rice bag.
This is exploitation.
They get into bigger problems. I've explained this in a long discussion. Anyway, you all know, guys, what is. By the way, there is another person who has filed a PIL against Rahul Gandhi's dual citizenship. I think it is coming through in Bengaluru High Court, Karnataka High Court, I think. Okay, I saw a tweet. Yeah.
A very funny thing happened in Allahabad High Court today. His advocate, the guy who went to court against this Rahul Gandhi's citizenship, he hired somebody called Mr. Pandey, who's a lawyer. Now, Mr. Pandey, because he kept on raising few points which Milords didn't like in the past. So, a few years back, there was a ruling given by Allahabad High Court that whenever Mr. Pandey comes with PIL to court, he has to deposit 25,000 rupees as security fees, so that he could be penalized. So today, when he started arguing the case, the judges said, "You haven't deposited the fees." He said, "After the judgment, so many times I've come to your court, and I've even gone and argued case in Supreme Court in front of Mr. Chandrachud. Nobody's asked me to deposit 25,000 rupees. So it's okay." They said, "No, you first go and deposit." And thereafter, the live streaming of that event, which that was stopped by court. Bengaluru, let's hope they behave in a better, because see, instead of focusing on the point being raised, that is Rahul Gandhi an offender as per so and so law, you start questioning the credibility of that lawyer, and you get on to things like 25,000 rupees jama kara do. So Bangalore, if it's happened, is a good thing, Shiriji, and should happen all over. Some court will act.
Yeah, just so everybody understands where things stand. Okay, in 2017, Dr. Subramanian Swamy, who was a Rajya Sabha member at that time, wrote to the then Home Minister Rajnath Singh. There's a video I put out in the morning today. It's doing the rounds. You guys can watch it. So April 2019, good 20 months after the first letter was sent, the Home Ministry wrote to Rahul Gandhi to explain this. So he has not answered. 5 years is a long time. He has not answered this question. So essentially, I think the benefit of doubt needs to be stopped. You have not answered. That means we assume that until you prove that you are only one country's citizen, and also you have only one passport from that country. He is supposed to have two passports, Indian passports, Rahul Vinci and Rahul Gandhi, identical except for the name. So he has got multiple layers of problems here. So you just tell him, okay, you prove that you are not a British citizen. Until then, you can't enter the parliament. You have to put some, these are all legal restrictions.
Will and spine, Shiriji. You had Jairam Ramesh saying that Amit Shah spoke to 150 DMs a night prior to counting. And ECI asked him to give the proof, which he couldn't. And what has happened?
Yeah.
So
he's a liar.
Liar
extraordinaire. Yeah.
So you allow him to tell another lie about 5 days later, he'll do it again. This is what spine and will means.
Last question, Jahangir Gotlaji says, thank you so much, Jahangirji. Can retired military personnel form a political party? I have serious concerns with sensitive posts, SC justices having foreign affiliations.
Retired military personnel been joining politics. General V.K. Singh is one example who didn't get a ticket this time for reasons best known to people on top. But exclusive party, again, I won't advocate, because we soldiers are not trained to be politicians. we will muck it up very badly. If hypothetically we have a party of all Fojis, there will be issues. But yes, wherever I think most of us have one simple aim, that wherever we can do our bit, we do our bit with the largest interest of country in mind. And that's what people who ex-army people or ex-defense forces people who join politics, they also have the similar aim. Most of us, people like us who come on the podcast, are given time by good people like Shiriji. We also try to do our bit. I think it has to happen everywhere. Politics, society, community, everywhere. And that's how the change will happen. You are concerned about foreign affiliations. It's a known thing. Once upon a time, CA used to boast that whatever decisions cabinet takes in Delhi, in 10 minutes they know it sitting in Washington. So, and when you look at the profile of people whose kids are studying where, whose kids are getting scholarships in which universities, so there are a few things which are worrisome. And if, like I always say, if you and me know it, I'm sure government also knows it. But then who runs the government? Government is run by politicians? No, government is run by bureaucrats. So all these affiliations and kids getting benefited, I leave it at that. It benefits one certain community which actually runs the country.
Next one, please. Thank you so much, Sushila ji. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Thank you so much, Colonel Raina. I promise you I'll keep it short. And thank you so much, sir. We'll look forward to having you again very, very shortly. Namaskar.
Yeah, about 10 days from now,
Yes.
I'm going to disappear. Thank you, Shiriji. All the best.
Thank you.